WTQX. The evening wireless.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. This is W.T.Q.X. broadcasting on 360 meters, or 833 kilocycles. You're listening to the Evening Wireless for May 9th, 1926. I'm Edwin Allen. We're quite happy to have you listening this evening, especially during this Mother's Day Sunday. We invite you to settle in at your leisure and join us as we reflect upon the recent happenings and share our observations with you. And we thank you, friends, as always, for your kind attention. The happiest of Mother's Day greetings to you, our listeners. As I look about our little studio this evening, I observe that alongside myself, the Colonel and Mrs. Kildare both wear white carnations upon their person, while Miss Vivian and Mr. Sparks favor red. A small distinction, perhaps, though one rich in meaning. For some, our mothers live now only in treasured memory. For others, there yet remains the happy privilege of voice, company, and embrace. Though Mother's Day is still a comparatively recent observance in our nation, it is one I believe many have welcomed warmly, regardless of what opportunists, the florists may be, in the occasion. It was in this afternoon's edition of the Chicago Sunday Tribune that I came upon a striking political cartoon from abroad, one depicting old Mother England herself, the so-called Mother of Parliaments, standing anxiously at the window beside her faithful bulldog. Beyond the glass lies a darkened nation, while from the great-grandfather clock tower of Big Ben brings not the hour, but the repeated cry of strike, strike, strike. The image is an effective one and captures well the uneasy atmosphere presently surrounding the general strike now unfolding across Great Britain. At the heart of the matter lies the coal industry. Mine owners facing financial difficulty have proposed reductions in wages and longer working hours. The miners, believing such conditions intolerable, have resisted. In support of them, the Trades Union Congress has called for a vast general strike, bringing transportation, printing, and many other essential services to a standstill throughout the kingdom. The British government, for its part, has argued that the nation faces not merely an industrial dispute, but something potentially more dangerous still. The Associated Press reports that authorities are attempting to convince the public that the Trades Union Congress may be, quote, camouflaging revolutionary intentions under the guise of an industrial dispute. Such language naturally stirs uneasy memories in Europe, where fears of Bolshevism and political extremism continue to linger in the years following the Great War and the Russian Revolution. Yet there are also developments suggesting the matter may not be so simple. Also reported today, the remarkable news that strike leaders have returned a contribution of $25,000 sent from Soviet Russia. Doing so, according to reports, with thanks. The Soviets, it is said, were advised that the Trades Union Congress had, quote, no use for red money under the circumstances. And so, amid accusation and suspicion, what also finds gestures seemingly intended to reassure a nervous public that Britain's labor movement does not seek a revolution, but settlement. Meanwhile, ordinary life in Britain grows increasingly strained. A modern nation, even on a Sunday, requires constant labor simply to sustain itself. Trains, deliveries, printing presses, docks, and countless ordinary services upon which daily life depends cannot long remain idle without consequence. And thus, volunteers have stepped forward in large numbers to keep the nation functioning where they may. Reports carried to us over the wireless speak of university students driving omnibuses, businessmen unloading cargo, and, as the Tribune notes, quote, many artists, writers, and actors joining the constabulary. Indeed, the wireless itself has become one of the few steady voices crossing the Atlantic in these unsettled days. For many places throughout Britain, newspaper presses themselves have fallen silent. In response, the government has established its own publication, the British Gazette, under the direction of Mr. Winston Churchill, Chancellor of the Exchequer. The paper seeks to provide the public with information during the crisis, though critics suggest it does so with rather more enthusiasm for the government's position rather than for strict neutrality. What the ultimate outcome of this grave dispute shall be, no man yet may say. One hopes sincerely that cooler heads and fair compromise may prevail before hardship deepens further. And perhaps on this Mother's Day especially, our sympathies naturally turn toward the women of Brittany. The mothers wondering how long wages shall cease, how cupboards shall be filled, and when husbands and sons may safely return to ordinary work once more. From here in America, we can only watch with concern and extend our hopes that the British people may find a peaceful and honorable solution to their troubles. And to all the mothers listening tonight, whether near at hand or cherished only in memory, we offer our deepest affection and respect. Thank you for listening. And now, as always, Jimmie Sparks updates us on the current news from the wires. Jimmy?
Hot off the wires, folks. Here's what's happening. Washington, D.C. Marker dedicated at Tree to American Mothers. A white birch in the Capitol was planted as tribute to all American mothers, dedicated by the Federation of Women's Clubs and wreathed with carnations. May it grow tall and proud. Albany, Georgia, may have plowed gold. A farmer in Georgia, plowing his field for spring sowing, uncovered 3 bars of gold bullion dated 1784. Who says the American farmer's hard up for money? Omaha. Man steals own car, gets arrested. A man walking downtown used his own car when he found it parked nearby. His wife, who had been shopping, reported it missing, and the man was arrested without identification. He spent 2 days in jail. Well, I suppose the wife needed it a couple more days. Manchester, New Hampshire, bootleggers have exchange in cemetery. Mount Calvary Cemetery has reportedly become the site of shadowy midnight meetings where bootleggers receive allotments from rum runners. Question is, are the dead wets or dries? Cleveland, hobo gathering to cause city problems. More than 700 hobos ride the gunnels to attend a gathering called by the International Brotherhood Welfare Association. Some may seek lodging, while others are expected to sleep upon secluded park benches. I tell you, the barbers will make a fortune that week. Berlin, Germany, ray for dogs. Ultraviolet rays are being used upon dogs in the treatment of distemper. Good results are reported after the animals wear blue-tinted goggles for 15 minutes. Let's just hope nobody mixes up ultraviolet with ultraviolent. That's all from the wires. I'm bringing home the bacon, Ma. Back to you, Edwin.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks. I'm sure Mother Sparks will be happy for the bacon. From the speed of the wires to the speed of the horse tracks, Colonel Davies now presents The Measure of Men.
Good evening. The field of sport never tires. I shall spare our listeners any great sentimental exhibition for Mother's Day, as such displays have never rested comfortably upon my shoulders. Still, no sensible man reaches maturity without owing a considerable debt to the patience of some good woman along the way, and I trust the day has been observed with proper respect throughout the nation. Now then, the baseball season, though still young, is already showing signs of becoming a lively one indeed. Babe Ruth appears to have shaken off the miserable fortunes of 25 and returned once more to his accustomed assault upon American League pitching. Reports early this week tell of the Bambino driving his 7th home run of the season into the stands with all the force and confidence for which he is known. There are some athletes whose decline is predicted yearly by nervous sports writers, only for them to answer criticism with a louder crack of the bat. Meanwhile, anticipation for the approaching Kentucky Derby on the 15th has sent the sporting public into its customary frenzy. Every gentleman with a newspaper and a cigar now considers himself an authority upon bloodlines and temperament. Favorites appear to change by the day, and though I myself am not a betting man, I suspect the odds shall continue shifting right up until the horses leave the gate. I maintain as ever a greater admiration for the horse itself than for many of the names bestowed upon the poor creatures. And lastly, this evening, I find myself compelled to remark upon the Madison Square Garden event, the 6-day endurance race. This extraordinary endurance bicycle race, which is presently drawing crowds in the city of New York, one hears much these days of riders circling tracks for 6 days and nights with scarcely believable intervals of rest, pushing themselves to exhaustion before cheering audiences. Now, endurance is unquestionably a virtue. Civilization itself has been built by men capable of persevering through hardship. But one wonders if endurance ceases to be admirable once it becomes merely a form of torture for public amusement. The reports arriving from these races speak of collapse, delirium, and competitors scarcely able to distinguish 1 hour from the next. I confess I am uncertain whether we are witnessing athletics or something not terribly far removed from the gladiatorial spectacles of ancient Rome. Still, the crowds gather, and gather eagerly. One wonders if their mothers would approve. I've been Colonel Frederick Davies with The Measure of Men.
Thank you, Colonel. I'm sure many Americans will find the Derby of great importance to their interest in wagers. Tonight's first generous sponsor will be Fletcher's Castoria. Mothers, children cry for it.
Mother, children cry for it. Mother, it's time to try it.
Fletcher's Castoria is for babies of all ages. Fletcher's Castoria treats illness in all stages. Constipation,
Not anymore.
diarrhea,
Close that back door.
flatulence,
It's just a snore.
wind colic, nothing to cry for.
Mother, 30 years in use. Mother, soft like Mother Goose.
Fletcher's Castoria, just ask your physician. Fletcher's Castoria, a pleasant addition. Opiates,
Not on your life.
paregoric,
That will cause strife.
castor oil,
That's a face bad.
irregular bowel.
Only Granddad.
Fletcher's Castoria doesn't taste like vinegar. To avoid imitations, look for the signature.
Fletcher's Castoria.
And now, our very own Miss Vivian Cross brings us more news about the art of entertainment and the allure of Hollywood. Here she is with the Hollywood Eye.
Hello, my dears. As the Sunday is Mother's Day, I have resolved to escort my dear one to the theater for a proper evening's entertainment. Now, between ourselves, I might ordinarily prefer to slip directly into the picture itself and spare a few of the vaudevillian proceedings beforehand. But Mother belongs to a generation for whom the stage was once the grand attraction of an evening out, and so the stage she shall have. We are to attend the splendid New Oriental Theater, which is holding a special Mother's Day presentation complete with carnations for the ladies, and, I am told, a selection of sentimental melodies dedicated to dear old mothers everywhere. I fully expect there shall not be a dry eye in the house by the second refrain. The headlining attraction upon the stage is to be Paul Ash and his Mad Gang in a musical review delightfully entitled Insultin' the Sultan, which sounds to me either terribly political or perfectly ridiculous, and perhaps both at once. There shall also be magical entertainments, further music, and an organist of considerable reputation. But at last, much to my own relief, comes the motion picture itself, Tramp, 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 starring that pale little clown of comedy, Harry Langdon. It is his first feature-length picture, and while I shall forever remain loyal to dear Harold Lloyd, I must admit Mr. Langdon has a curious sickness about him, which I suspect shall greatly please Mother. And truly, let us have the pleasure of these modern picture palaces, not merely the films themselves, but the spectacle of the whole affair. The Oriental is still so new that I have scarcely recovered from my first glimpse of it. The arches, the lights, the lavish ornamentation. It's positively dreamlike. I adore it all. The theaters, are forever devising marvelous new methods to entice audiences through their doors. Only last month, Mr. Lloyd's, for heaven's sake. One theater arranged for an ambulance to arrive before the crowd, carrying out a supposed patron said to have collapsed from laughter during the performance. Applesauce, of course, though I confess I laughed to smite myself. And now, my dears, I must be off to put on my Sunday best. Mother awaits, and I should hate to keep her standing beneath the marquee. This has been Vivian Cross with the Hollywood Eye.
Thank you, Miss Cross. I'm sure your mother will enjoy the Babylonian production. From the lighted stages to our own homes, here is Dietrich Adair with Women's Concerns.
Good evening, ladies. A day for mothers and a day for mother-in-laws. Tonight's letter comes from a woman who has solved the problem with the latter. Dear Miss Kildare, she writes, I have solved the mother-in-law problem successfully, and this is the way I did it. When my son married, I told him that he must put his wife before me and think of her first. Though I am a widow and he my only child, I refuse to live with them. I never meddle in their affairs nor offer advice unless asked. I do not try to furnish their house, but let them arrange it to suit themselves. The result is that my daughter-in-law loves me, and I am always a welcome guest whenever I visit. What do you think of this plan? Signed, C.E.N. Well, C.E.N., I think your middle name must be Mrs. Solomon, for your plan contains all the law and prophets about how to get along with a daughter-in-law. Any woman has only to apply the golden rule and treat her daughter-in-law as she herself wished to be treated when she was a bride. For no woman ever grows so old that she forgets her bridal days, nor the dreams she stitched into the linen of her hope chest. Dreams of a little home for two, where she should be sole mistress and order things as she pleased. She remembers how cocksure she was of herself, and how she resented all interference and advice. And she remembers how she hated her mother-in-law for always acting as if her husband was a poor martyr every time she asked him to do anything, and how jealous she was of his mother's influence over him, and how mad it used to make her when her mother-in-law snooped in the garbage can and asked her if she didn't think she was peeling the potatoes too thick. Oh, any mother-in-law can get along with any daughter-in-law if she will follow your advice and mind her own business, and that daughter-in-law mind hers, and if she will keep her own home and only visit instead of being a permanent encumbrance. Yours truly, Dietrich Adair.
Thank you, Mrs. Kildare. The mother-in-law has always been an easy target. Perhaps this is fair advice. Now I'd like to turn our program over to our second generous sponsor of the evening, Glover Imperial Mange Medicine.
My sweetie wasn't feeling right. Her scalp was just a flaking white. Oh no, she got the mange. She scratched and shimmied on her head, hair loss and raw skin that was red. Oh no, she got the mange. Listen here, pal, got no rationale, but I don't want me no mangy gal. Glover's Imperial Mange Medicine is better than Thomas Edison. I don't know about you, but I know what to do. Old Tommy couldn't do what Imperial do. The healing, stimulating preparation makes my sweetie a hair care sensation. Stimulates roots, so kick off your boots and kiss your sweetheart's skin. It's Glover's Imperial Mange Medicine. Her oil glands were a downright mess. No foxtrot with her, I confess. Oh no, she got the mange. Cake dandruff and a grotesque head. I sometimes wish that she were dead. Oh no, she got the mange. But no more, she knew the score. Her hair is something I adore. Glover's Imperial Mange Medicine is better than Thomas Edison. I don't know about you, but I know what to do. Old Tommy couldn't do what Imperial do. The healing, stimulating preparation makes my sweetie a hair care sensation. Stimulates roots, so kick off your boots and kiss your sweetheart's skin. It's Glover's Imperial Mange Medicine.
And so, as we bring this Mother's Day broadcast to its conclusion, we find ourselves reflecting upon both the comforts of home and the uncertainties of a changing world. From the troubled streets and the silent presses of Britain, where strike and suspicion now test the endurance of a great nation, to the steady hum of the wireless carrying voices across the Atlantic, we are reminded how closely bound the modern world has become. In our theaters and picture palaces, audiences continue to seek delight beneath electric lights and painted ceilings, where music, laughter, and moving pictures offer a welcome escape from the cares of ordinary life. In sport, the crack of Babe Ruth's bat once more echoes across the ballparks. Anticipation builds towards the running of the Kentucky Derby, and questions persist as to how far mankind ought to test the limits of endurance in pursuit of spectacle. And in the home, as Miss Kildare's remarks this evening have reminded us, happiness between generations may depend less upon authority than upon kindness, restraint, and the wisdom to allow others their independence. Perhaps it is fitting that such thoughts should accompany a day devoted to mothers. For whether guiding nations, households, or merely the hearts of their children, theirs is often the quiet labor upon which so much else depends. We trust you shall join us again when next we come to you over the wireless. And to all mothers listening this evening, we extend our affection, our gratitude, and our very best wishes. And we thank you, friends, as always, for your kind attention.
Bum, 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 W.T.Q.X. Happy Mother's Day.